So Monet was well known for his color harmonies and contrasts. Color theory had been written about, official color theory, and he knew well about it, but Monet always said he got his color harmonies from nature, from the nature he observed on his many walks in search of planting compositions out in the countryside. So here, what he would do is he'd alternate hot color harmonies with cool harmonies in those rectangular beds that we saw. Here is a hot border of red, orange, and yellow. These are 3 colors next to each other on the color wheel. He liked to put these on the west side of his property so they'd be enhanced by the warm rays of the setting sun. But he also loved cool color combinations. Here we have the pink, purple, and blue, cool colors next to each other on the color wheel. He especially liked these color combinations because they would go with the mistiness of the garden in the early mornings. The misty light being cool light, which would enhance the cool colors of borders like these. He also used triads. Triads are 3 colors evenly spaced around the color wheel, like the 3 primaries of red, blue, and yellow. This is not a pure triad, but it is a 3-part color combination he dearly loved. Pink and white, and then the blue from the forget-me-nots, the pink and white from the lily-flowered tulip. Look at the iridescence on this tulip. Now we know why he liked tulips. He also used the color contrast, colors opposite on the color wheel. Here we have the yellow tulips and the purple pansies, and the contrast colors deliver a big punch in the garden, and you can see that the effect here is really electric. He also used the blue and orange, opposite colors on the color wheel, and he loved blue and yellow together, which he used throughout the interior of his house. There aren't that many blue flowers available, so sometimes outside, for a blue and orange combination, sometimes the blue is provided by the sky. And of course, the contrasting colors of red and green. Monet liked ordinary red geraniums since he thought that the green leaf was very vibrant and could stand up to the brilliant red. He wasn't big on variegated foliage. He thought that color was just a little too wimpy. And here you can see they've added the pink geraniums and pink standard roses in order to match the house. So this is what Monet could do. Take an ordinary plant, a garden staple like a red geranium, combine it with a botanical rarity like an elegant rose standard, and come up with a beautiful combination. Here you can see the geraniums in front of the house. The house was then and is now completely slathered in Virginia creeper. So here we are at the Grand Allée again. So you're a painter. So what do you do when you put together your picture? Well, you frame it in order to give it depth. So Monet has framed the entrance to his house here and side borders with these archers. This was another design innovation of Monet. France is well known for its wonderful alleys of trees, but Monet came up with the floral tunnel. That way he could have color over his head. There's a different rose on each of these arches. So for lunchtime, very often the family would have lunch on the front veranda here, and Monet would sit with his back to the house and look at his garden. And you can imagine Monet thinking, oh, looking at that broad white path and thinking, gotta soften it with color, gotta soften it with color. Well, he did. Here we are looking down the Grand Allée then in summer. And you can see from this photo, the nasturtiums are filling the path. And by mid-September, you can't even walk the path. Actually, he intended to use dwarf nasturtiums here, but he ended up with this rambling variety. As happens with gardeners today, sometimes you think you're getting one plant and you're actually getting another. But I suspect Monet was happy with the result, as so many people are today. And besides, then he could have color under his feet as well. Here's more framing. See, these are like those lace trellises that we saw in the spring. They're filled with Jackmanii clematis, a little dark, but along the side you can see the white rose coming up alongside. Monet loved to plant two vines together so that when the color entwined, he would have actually three colors all together, both colors and then the mixed color. For after all, he was a painter, and if one color is good, two colors are better. This is like what he did on his Japanese bridge. He planted not only purple, but white wisteria on his bridge canopy as well. So here we are at the front door, and you can see more framing. It's a little hard to tell from the photo, but this is both white and pink roses. The pink color of the house was there when Monet got there. It comes from brick dust mixed in stucco. But Monet turned the shutters and the trim bright green in a color which is sometimes called today Monet green. So here's the view from Monet's bedroom. After working on the Claude Monet for 10 years, you can imagine Monet probably had done a lot of the big developments in his garden. Plus, he had a little more money by this time. So, what's a gardener to do? New garden, of course. So in 1893, Monet purchased the swampland across the tracks in order to create a Japanese water garden. Monet was inspired a great deal by Japanese art. He collected Japanese woodblock prints. He has an entire collection in his house, some of which are still hanging there. And what do these prints show? Well, they show water gardens with weeping willows, water lilies, and wisteria. So that's what Monet is going to do.